Hey everyone, welcome to the second Inktober video. Again, I kind of gotta record the audio blind, because I record it independent of the video. Yeah, so this drawing is not bad. I'm looking at it right now. Has some things I like, some things I gotta work on. I can see a couple areas where it probably got a little too heavy with the pen. Even though the character has black hair. I don't know if I should have gone with the heavy brushing on it, or if I should have done thin pen, or done, like I did a combination of both. Probably should have chosen one or the other and just gone with it. There are also a couple little things I'd probably tweak in Photoshop if I were to tweak this later. And again, I'm kind of going for doing inks with the intention of coloring them later, whether or not I'm gonna color them later. And I think from here on out, I'm going to build these character drawings like they're going to be part of a long, what would you call it? It's not a triptych, because there's going to be more than three, but a long series of connected images. I don't know what the name would be for something beyond a, three-image thing. Because I don't know how many characters are actually going to be in it as well. Pentatip? I honestly don't know what that would be called. But yeah, this one has me using the 005 a little later to put a lot of details on the character's armor. And yeah, there are a lot of little things going on here that I wanted to put in here. Squigglies on the armor, which you'll see later. Trying out some hatching marks in a different way. That's also probably gonna be a little later in the video. But yeah, and keeping this a learning process, I think that's the main thing I'm gonna take home from this one. Is sometimes the line work gets a little too heavy for where it is, and it doesn't really need to be. So going forward, and this may apply to tomorrow's drawing as well, because I've obviously done it already. But the way I'm doing this, I think I'm going to have to just be a little more careful with my thicker lines. And be more deliberate with what I'm doing with the thicker lines. And I really am thinking of that while I'm drawing. But now that I'm looking at this one, it's one of those things where looking at it the next day helps a lot in figuring out how to do things better next time. And I think definitely making sure I'm more consistent and deliberate with the thicker lines. Thin lines are fine, but just picking where the thick lines go compared to where the thin lines are. Probably where I'm gonna put a lot of emphasis on drawing number 4. For tomorrow. And drawing number 3 you'll see tomorrow is gonna have some thick lines in there. And it might be a little confusing because it's something I'll talk about tomorrow as to why it's a little confusing. It's that difficulty of doing chrome on things where it's a non-standard chrome shape. But I'll talk about that more tomorrow. This character's armor is more, it's not really leather. It'd probably look a little chitinous, little lobster shelly. It's mostly, supposed to be very, very bio, which is why it looks like muscle. And that's something I'd probably go back and change a bit, too, is make it look a little more biological. I hazard to use the phrase biomechanical because of Independence Day and biomechanical suit, but yeah, it's something more along those lines rather than armor. And there are some places I'm looking at it now where I probably should have put just more little details maybe, or even taking some little details out. But yeah, I'm actually fairly happy with how this is going so far. It's pretty much what I was expecting to produce at the beginning of an Inktober challenge, and if I'm expecting this level, that I know I'll be able to push better and better stuff as time goes on. And I'm also going to push poses a little too. The first couple are obviously just going to be characters standing there, so I can get used to the pens again. And then, yeah, as I go forward, I will push posing and costuming a bit more. I don't really know if there's much else to say. It's gonna be difficult to fill airtime with this stuff. Not that anyone cares, but I was doing this while watching Luke Cage, which is an amazing, another amazing Netflix Marvel show. I'd probably say it's in between Daredevil and Jessica Jones on my, on which do I like the most. I still think I like Daredevil the most. But Luke Cage would probably be number 2. I also just posted my first Let's Command episode for Experiment Craj, and that's a series on the gaming channel I'm hoping to go forward with. You can find that video on the gaming channel. There's a link in the description to that channel. So lessons I'm learning from this. I had to be much more consistent, like I said, and deliberate with my line work and where I place thick and thin lines. And actually where I'm doing shading, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm still working, you know, like under the concept of saving these up for Photoshop work, like I mentioned before. So the shading is going to have to be much more like places where you have a core shadow is usually where I'm going to do a shade job, or places where it's a line and it's a seam on a thing is where I'll put hatches. Like I put a ton of hatches on this guy. I don't know if I had to do that or not. Maybe as part of this challenge later on, I'll redo some of these characters' images with things I've learned picking this challenge up and working with it. We'll have to see once that gets once things get done and once the challenge gets closer and closer to completion. But I am actually, despite how critical I sound of myself, I actually think I'm doing well enough. I'm doing well enough with this, and I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing right now. It's been a really long time since I've worked in any traditional media, because I normally just do Photoshop work. And it's been a long time since I've done traditional media and drawn my characters in traditional media. Like I said, I normally do Photoshop work, and normally it's either just sketching, or it has nothing at all to do with like making an actual piece of art. It's mostly doing graphics for things like videos. So it actually feels nice to do traditional media again. And if it wasn't for the fact that I do actually toss old artwork, I'd maybe consider... I know I don't have any, but I think if I did, I would try to go back and look for stuff from my school days to see if I've actually advanced at all in terms of doing traditional media like this. Because I know I've done, or at least attempted to do, ink work in the past, and I don't remember exactly what the quality was, but I'm assuming just due to time passing, the quality now is much better. And yeah, it's almost default, but yeah, I do tend to just not out of shame or anything, it's more out of just not having clutter around, which is a little ironic given how much clutter I have otherwise, to just not have a ton of clutter around me to take old artwork and chuck it. But it sounds also dismissive to say chuck it when referring to old artwork, but it's something where you do so much of it that you don't lose track of it, and you don't lose track of the good ones, definitely. But at the same time, you do kind of have to move on a bit. It always surprises some people when I say, oh yeah, I don't really keep, I don't keep really old things. And like, these ink drawings, I don't know if I'm going to keep them for an entire year. I should keep them for an entire year in case I do Inktober next year. And then I could do a comparison. But for the most part, I don't tend to keep a lot of old artwork around. Simply because it's just not something I've done a lot. It's just not something where I've either felt the need to keep it around, or it's not really something that I want to keep around. I kind of want to always keep newer stuff around, and I'd rather remember the time it took to do the new stuff, and looking at the new stuff as the results of all of the previous things coming together, than dwelling on the previous older things. I don't want to say, after mentioning the Luke Cage thing, always forward, always, but that is kind of the idea here. And it looks like we're getting close to time, so thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and could put up with my rambling. Please check out my gaming channel. You'll find a link in the description below. And you can check out my Patreon. Even just $1 a month means a whole hell of a lot to me. So you'll find a link for that also in the description below, and there should be one on the screen. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next Inktober drawing.